Hi and welcome to another episode of CBTV. The Labor Party are pulling out all stops in an attempt to smear Tony Abbott and the Coalition over which political team is the better economic manager. And as is typical with Labor, the facts don't get in the way of their diatribes, which seem more about deflecting attention from their failures in government than critically examining the alternatives before the Australian people. However, to understand the real picture, it is important to strip away the rhetoric and actually consider some of the facts about this government's performance. Now, Labor want you to believe they will deliver a surplus in the next budget, despite having delivered 4 record deficits since coming to power in 2007. And since then, a cumulative $167 billion in deficits have accrued for future generations to repay. While they might announce a surplus on budget night this year, the real figures will not be known until November 2013, long after the next election is expected to be held. Labor also insists that tax take as a percentage of GDP is lower than under the previous coalition government. And while the records don't support Labor's claim, to make matters worse, they conveniently ignore the borrowed money that should be added to Labor's figures. Based on this year's deficit alone, which has ballooned from a forecast $12 billion to an expected $37 billion loss in less than 12 months, we should add at least another 3% to net taxation figures. That lifts this government into record taxing territory. Labor's claims also ignore the savings that the Howard government put aside for the inevitable rainy day, funds that this mob have squandered with gay abandon. There's also a whole range of spending commitments that the government has managed to remove from the budget figures or squirrel away in non-balance sheet items. Little things like $37 billion for the national broadband network, $10 billion for climate change programs, and $30 billion for the submarines they have promised every year since 2009. I could go on, but I'm sure you get the picture. Labor are poor managers of taxpayers' funds. As a government, they seem more intent on clinging to the trappings of office rather than looking after the people. If that were not the case, how else can they justify mortgaging our future generations' prosperity to accommodate their own failure to restrain their wasteful spending? This is Cory Bernardi. You're watching CBTV.